There's three main pillars of observability: logs, metrics, and traces. Some of these you might know, some of these you might not, but we'll kind of dig in for all of the tools and ways to go about it. So Tyler, what are application logs?
I mean, that's just all of the stuff written out to standard out port that's usually picked up by whatever, system you're deployed on. So Kubernetes, logs, go through pods, picked up. Really, it's just everything written out by your application.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's generally your simple line of defense. Basically, when issues are going on, one of your first thoughts is, oh, check logs. And this is something that most companies should be doing already. So in a certain sense, you can think that, okay, we already do have observability happening. But logs are just kind of the, starting point of this whole ecosystem. So going along with it too, so we have metrics and traces. And metrics are also something that's relatively common. So you can think of things like, what is your CPU utilization? What is your memory utilization? If you have any server running anywhere, it's very, very easy to track these things and then give you a lot of insight into what the server is doing, as things start to misbehave. The fun thing of this in the three pillars of observability, traces. Tyler, what's a trace?
These are my favorite, as far as I'm concerned, the most useful. Relatively recent as far as the observability trend and it's in our systems, but they're an end-to-end representation of how a request through a software system is represented. So the quality of the trace is highly variable based upon, what tools you have installed and what level of integration these tools have into your particular product. But in a perfect world, you get a complete trace of a user's request to your system from the entry point, your external entry point for your system, all the way to the back end, deep back end, and then up to the user. You should be able to see every hop that makes through the system, how much time and latency each processing stage is. They're especially useful whenever you are encountering issues in production or just in general, you're trying to debug any problem, because you can see exactly where in your code or where in your platform the issues are occurring. I consider them, at least from my perspective, far more useful than logs, which just state what's wrong because they paint a more complete picture. Not to say that they completely replace logs, but they're definitely my preferred debugging solution.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've always found it utterly fascinating, and we'll get into some examples of traces later in this. But for me, it's always been a very easy way to identify performance bottlenecks. So let's say you're querying a database a lot in a request. It becomes very, very easy to spot what's going on there. And it gives you a good guidepost for how your developers can further optimize, and it'll, catch the little mistakes that can creep into production that can impact performance for your users.